Hello, everybody. Welcome to another Big Boy Games stream. What's going on, everybody? Ooh. What's up, Badagon? How's it going? Hope you're doing good. Yeah, today a little bit more conveyor stuff, but I have a plan on how to fix it, finally. I realized something with underground conveyors. I'll just quickly draw this out. Get out of here, confetti. So with underground conveyors, I realized, so we have these two undergrounds, right? And it's kind of like this, and then they connect to the conveyors, right? So let's assume the conveyors are going this way. I've realized I don't need this one to do anything. Right? This is just an empty dummy conveyor. So yeah, I'm just gonna make it not process. All I have to do essentially is when an item is ready over here in the entrance, I just have to say, okay, try and push it directly into this conveyor. And so we don't have that weird issue where it like skips because we don't have to transfer it to this one and then from that one to that one. It's just stupid. So with this system, it's way better. We can just immediately try and push into the first conveyor. And yeah. What's up, Oshik? How's it going? So yeah, hopefully that works pretty well. I already kind of started to implement it, but there's still some things I have to work out with it. I'm gonna close some of these old sprites also, because they're clogging up my inventory. Not inventory. They're clogging up paint.net. Don't need that anymore. Golden Freddy. Nor that. Nor that. Nor that. Nor the pumpkin. Nor the pumpkin that I like. Nor the pumpkin pie. Nor the tree of wisdom. Nor any of this stuff. This is all for Halloween, and it's not Halloween anymore. Okay. Alrighty. So, but yeah, I think that's what we're gonna do. So I'm gonna fix it. As for what else we're doing today, don't know. We'll figure that out. There's probably some bugs that we can take a look at fixing. I'd have to look through the suggestions and issues thing. But yeah, we'll see if we can tackle some other things. We can always optimize too. I do want to optimize the movers, and that would be a big help, I think, with a lot of saves. But yeah, anyways, let's jump into it. So this is the underground conveyor tunnel code. Pretty basic stuff. So sometimes the inventory items things don't really work out. I gotta figure that out. So why does that happen? Frying range. In here, I'm just gonna print index and then print each eye, because I want to make sure it's actually running through the whole thing. Sometimes I've noticed that items get like left in the conveyor and then it just breaks. So yeah, we'll launch the game and mess around and see if we can figure everything out. So a couple of other weird issues. Actually, technically I finished that. I made it so the enemies can't go into other rooms until the player has, so that's been fixed. I don't know how you get to the water. It's pretty wacky. Yeah, wrong version at the bottom. I just forgot to do that. So I think Orion asked about this. It's just too much of a hassle for... And so we have to fill everything out manually. Okay. Big flat. So you can see what I have set up right now works pretty well for most of the time, and then randomly it just breaks sometimes. I don't know why. So we are going to have to fix that. So... got our mover, our chest, and then I can load it with stone, and it's like fine for a while, but then randomly sometimes it just doesn't work. So, this is what I worried about. See, this is what happens. It shows index is 2, but it only goes to 0 for some reason. So I think it's because I'm saying -1. Probably don't want to do that. Let's try this. Yeah, now it goes to 0 and 1. See if it lasts. We may be okay with that. Okay. So far, so good. Let's go get some stone brick and do a longer one. I don't know this save very well. Oh, he's got stone, but no brick. Imagine. You can see the lag spikes, like, right there. My flashlight freaks out. Yeah, maybe I'll take another look at, whatchamacallit. Oh, this is out of copper. It's okay. Object pooling, because I really want that to work. It would really help speed things up. Maybe it's not the solution, but at least it could be a part of it, you know. Okay. Let's keep smelting away, shall we? Alright, so let's do one at the maximum length, which is going to be that far. I just want to see if that works fine also. 'Cause if it does, that's good. I also, just to let everybody know, today's probably going to be a shorter stream. I have a Big Boy Games meeting planned soon. Tonight at 6 p.m. So, I'm gonna have to end it a little earlier. We're gonna have some more slimes. Nice. That's sick. Big Boy meeting, yeah. What kind of slimes are you doing? Just random stuff? Okay, so it should be 49. Let's do 50 of each item. Seems like it's okay. Now, obviously, it instantly moves the items across, so I can't do that. We're gonna have to change that behavior, but that's small beans. One's entering my backlog draw for my chat slime game. Nice. We need a cactus, brick, wisp. Oh, nice. That's cool. Yeah, I've always liked your little slime guys. They're pretty fun. Let's bring a light down here, man. I'm like, oh, I can't see. Yeah. Keep pressing Q. I'm just so used to Factorio binds right now. I guess that happens when you play Factorio every day. Okay. So, I mean, that worked. I don't know. Maybe it's just fine. I'm worried, you know, that it's not fine, but I don't know. Problem with creating new dungeons, the global enums for regions can modify because of security reasons. Oh, right, yeah, you can't actually change it. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna change that, right? And probably define things a little bit differently. Right now in the global script, yeah, it's just an enum, which you can't really modify. I think I'll probably move all the dungeon stuff into its own data, like entry, you know? So it'll probably have stuff like, you know, a room list and a name and a planet sprite, you know, all the stuff that you need for dungeons. You can use the dungeon too. Yeah, technically it's not used yet. You could use that. But yeah, I'll probably change the format for that when we get to another dungeon, which I probably will do for the automation update, even though it's an automation update. It'll just be a good idea. I don't know which planet that's going to be. But I think that's what we're going to talk about today in the meeting. But yeah, I mean, you're welcome to try and retrofit a dungeon in here if you're thinking of doing that. But you're always welcome to wait until I add another dungeon. It'll probably be a lot easier at that point. But it's totally up to you. I need to redefine progress. Okay. See, I need to resize progress. I don't know where I actually have the inventory size. Maybe that's in here. Oh. Well, that's 16, so I don't know when this is resizing at 20. Okay, so that goes through and sets everything in progress to 0. I could do this as a typed array. Because why not? Does enum not have a variable name? It does not. No. So basically, when I want to access this, I just say global.automation. Which works fine. You know, I'm never gonna use these terms in other places. That's why I didn't bother. But you know, when I redo this, I probably will change that. I'll probably have a couple base regions, you know, that are kind of required. So stuff like automation and hub. But then dungeons will kind of be a little different. I wonder if there's a way that I could add on regions to the enum. I probably could with code. I could just say like, I don't know. I don't know if I can. I'd have to look into that. But if we can do that, I could just have a function in mod API. Also, what's up, Potato Dev? Okay, so delete item. Can I add more automation areas? I will add more automation areas. Just you wait. I probably will want enums for it. I mean, but then it's also the thing of wanting it to be moddable. So I may just change it from an enum to a string. It's been convenient for enums, but I could easily just say if, you know, or we assign like a type to each region, you know, so maybe like the types are dungeon, automation, and miscellaneous, right? So I can kind of check easily, like, okay, what region is this? Is this just an automation region? Then we're good. And then I can check the specific type of region if I want, you know? So we'll look into that. I need to figure out exactly what I'm doing with the next region, though. So we'll see. Okay, so I need the progress tracked in here. Because what the issue is with this... basically, the items are immediately, like, being pushed through. So... let's see what I can do here. So this is keeping track of progress. It's basically going to say, set that to the one over there. That's whenever I delete an item. So it's always going to try and put it into the front. So this should work just fine, I think. And then any item in slot 0 will always be the last one that was added. So it's always going to be the first one to leave. So we can always just keep checking that one for its progress. So we can run in here and then say that. So I'm just going to say if that is not null and progress 0 is greater than or equal to 1, right? So that's what we'll do there. And I guess I'm really going to have this same thing here. It'll be a little bit different, but basically we loop through the inventory. If progress is less than 1, then we add it. But I'm not going to do the other stuff. And then up here in delete, I think, let's see here. Actually, no, that's okay. Yeah, I think this should work pretty well. I don't know for sure, but we'll see. Let's give it a try. I'm gonna have to resave this and reload because it's adding a new variable. Don't crash. I don't know why that crashing happens sometimes with the dungeons. It's weird. Actually, I think I might have fixed it. I think it was the unentered tree thing. I don't know for sure. Okay, so this should like take a minute to actually get to the end now. And it doesn't. Okay, lovely. So why is that? So in delete item, so down here, this is where we actually move stuff. Right, we're checking every single time. We're saying only if progress 0 is greater than 1. Which it should be. Oh, but I'm not, that's the issue. I'm not taking into account the length of the conveyor. So I have to say, like, that stuff, right? Divided by index. Because if we're 7 units long, it has to take 7 times as long. So that's probably the issue. Let's see. Oh, that's looking pretty good. Might have cracked it, guys. But let's put up another conveyor on the side just as like a comparison for speed. Because I just want to make sure that it is actually like, you know, the proper speed, or at least approximately the proper speed. And it looks like it preserves order and stuff. Yeah, because the last one that was put in, regardless of what happens, will always be the first one to come out next. So you don't have to really keep track of the other ones. It's just kind of the first one that matters, which is epic. Yeah. I guess you don't have to keep track of any of the others now that I think about it. So I probably only need one progress variable. I don't need like a whole array. But calculating all the others, I guess, gets them ready to go. Because they're already like in the conveyor and moved, so I think it's fine to just leave it if it works. Alright, so Let's do this, actually. Because I need this to be at the same time. Oh yeah, storage hub. I always forget. My old friend. Okay. So hopefully these get to the end at the exact same time. Let's see. And it doesn't have to be exact, but okay, so the underground's like 1 ahead. So it needs to be index +1, probably. PEMDAS, addition, subtraction. This needs to be added before. Operation order does matter.
When exporting a mod, you only want to export modified scenes and scripts, but it gets hard to track, because there are a lot in the game, so you need to make another project with only the modified files, but then you need to move scripts, like mod API and global, from one project to another, and remove when exporting. My idea is to put the files in a specific folder, but I don't know if it breaks things.
So, what do you mean by putting your files in a specific folder? Do you mean like stuff that you don't want to override? So something that you can do if you want to be absolutely sure that you're not overriding anything is just make your own folder. So you could just have like a... Yeah, so nothing in... The My Mod folder doesn't exist in the base game, right? Or the Awesome Mod folder or whatever, right? So like... You can just dump all the things in there, and regardless of what it is, it won't override anything. Because to override a file, it has to be in the same path, right? Yeah. So, let's see. It's hard to track, so there's a lot of games, so you make no scripts. Another thing that I'm thinking about doing too, which would make this easier also, which Potato Dev has talked about, is a function that kind of lets you override specific resources. I might have actually added that already. Let me go make sure. In Mod API. I did add it. So you can use this function. I may have to re-push this to the GitHub. I don't know if I've done that yet. But yeah, you can use replace path, global.replace path. I should have mentioned that I actually did that. Looks like I didn't really like finish it. Okay, let's add some. Well, so you said there's a typo, right? In Mod API? I think it was with the research. Is in like the add research entry, right? Well, that's fine. Oh, right here. Okay, fixed it. Well, let's go ahead and update this version of 1.4. I'll mention this thing in the changelog. So what this function will let you do is essentially you can take over things without it needing to be in the same file path, right? So like say you want a script to take over, you can keep it in your own little mod folder. But you can say like replace this other one though in the game. String file path to the resource to be replaced. To the resource that it's replacing the other one. A function to replace resources on startup. Good for keeping files in your own folder. Still replacing. Okay. Organization. Yeah. This will help a lot, I think. And yeah, this should be fine to run in the newest version, even if it's not a mod API right now. So, okay, let me watch this and make sure we're good. I might actually eliminate that plus 1.1 speed thing. Well, that's really close, actually, isn't it? Oh, that is really close. Well, that's almost perfect. Obviously, it's a little bit off, but it's, you know, that just happens. But watch, it lines up pretty good. I'm just gonna make sure there isn't like any leftover stone in here or anything. No, we're good. Well, as far as I can tell, I think we're good with conveyor stuff now, finally. Seems like everything's working here with progress, all this stuff. It's nice because the other entrance basically does nothing now, so it has no performance overhead. So I basically doubled the performance of underground since there's only one thing that's being processed, right? Which is pretty cool. One thing I wonder about, can you put items sideways into an underground? Is that intentional? No, you cannot. Which is probably for the better. Alright. Well, we've done it. As far as I can tell. Let me see what we've got here. This is our list. Added the takeover resource function into mod API for replacing assets from other locations. What else have we done? It's an issue with underground conveyors, or gaps between items would show up on low FPS. Also, we optimized performance of underground conveyors a lot. So, start mod API script in the GitHub repo that isn't from the example mod. That is, well, let's see. Don't use the mod API, the example mod, because I think it's empty, isn't it? Let me go look. Actually, no, that's the one you should use, yeah. Yeah, so, that's fine. But I need to update it now. So I can do that right now, if you'd like. Let me just make sure everything in mod API is here that I want. Building entries, all good. Replace path. I do want to integrate these global functions into here. There's a lot of global functions that are just useful to have in mod API. Stuff like, you know, set level, mode mods, don't want that in there. Sign range, weighted select, stuff like that, right? Get closest player target. Just kind of useful to have. To change, and some of the specific things are like the item functions I would like to do. Select font. Decompiled scripts don't have comments? Oh, really? Well, yeah, I mean, the usage will be pretty obvious, hopefully. I mean, basically, it's just old path, new path, and then it's the takeover path function. Now, one thing I want to make sure, though, is that you're not replacing global. So these empty spaces. That's weird, yeah. That's too bad. But I am going to say if new path is equal to or dot contains global.gd, right? Then we're going to return actually we're not gonna, well, we will return, but I'm just gonna say print invalid replacement of global.gd. Now actually we have the list of things that I don't want replaced, so maybe I'll do that. Yeah, we could do print error. Where is that? It's like banned keywords. So these are the things I don't want anybody to... Well, those are not files. Really, the only file that I don't want people replacing, yeah, is global. I may also make sure... Actually, yeah, that should be fine. Why does it have dots? It's checking for class accesses. So basically, when you say something like OS dot or dot, right? Isn't that what I'm doing? Let me go confirm. Is it dot OS? Wait, no, it's in global. I'm like stupid. Yeah, so the dot is basically saying like OS dot something, like window, right? So otherwise I don't think people can use this stuff if they aren't accessing it, right? Because if you want to create one, you have to say os.new or something like that, right? So basically it just blocks times when you're accessing these things, not necessarily just that in a word. Because if I just did OS, you know, maybe you have like a thing that's Steam OS and then it gets blocked because it has OS in it. So yeah, no, you can't do that because this doesn't work. I don't think this will compile. OS also is like a singleton, so I don't think you can actually instantiate it. But if you want to do that, the only way that you can do that is os.new, like that kind of thing. I think you can do it with like resource loader. See, it says you can't construct a native class. I think you can do resource loader.new. That's an engine singleton. Resource saver. That's also a singleton. See, this is the thing. It's all singletons. Can't do IP. File access is probably a singleton. Yeah, so like we're good. You can't use any of these because they're all singletons. So basically the only thing you can ever do with them is say the thing and then dot. So yeah, this works. But if you do find an exploit, please let me know. Right, because this is supposed to protect us from malicious activity. So if you find a way to get around it, I really need to know. Alright, so we got the replace path thing. And we can print error. Overriding of global.gd. And then load path. Now I have to figure out how this works. Let's see, it's take over path. Sets the resource path to path. We'll see if that works. I do have my worries about that. Right. Because know. I don't know if this will work, but we'll try it. I'll go ahead and save this script and then send it, put it in the thing, Oshik, so that you can mess around with it and see how it works. Because I don't actually know exactly how that function works. I'm just giving you guys an interface to do it through. So let's upload that. What is it to access the? Is it? Yeah, there we go. The web editor. It's actually really useful that they have that. Okay. Yeah, let's allow it to sign into my account. So we're replacing. It's gonna be in templates, scripts, and mod API. Oh, right, I have to show in file manager. I can't read chat right now. Give me 1 second. Replace. So this is what's so nice about this thing, and I can just load it in here, and now it's here. It's kind of cool. Not gonna lie. All right, let's just push it to main. Oh. Update mod API with. What did I call it? Replace path. Okay, so that's been pushed. You're welcome to re-download that. Let me know how that works exactly. Basically, it just does exactly what the base function does. I don't know if I need to tie it into what's already been cached in the game and stuff like that, or reload the game. So let me know on that. Alrighty. Let's see if we can optimize movers. I'm a little scared about doing that because it's a whole thing. But I would very much like to. It's not too bad for a chest like this because I think it's literally just add. Which means we shouldn't have to really calculate filters for regular chests. I think that would help a lot. Right, it's just kind of like try and throw it in, and if it doesn't work, we'll just wait. Because we can see the performance overhead right now. We load up the profiler. So let's do that. Just let it run for a minute. And then let's just look at a random spot, and we can see. So mover.update filters. There's not that many movers on this map, but it's, you know, still has a decent overhead, and that's why it's a problem. So let's go take a look at the mover script. I mean, there's really barely any movers. I mean, I guess there's quite a few over here with the burners. But yeah, all these are calculating their filters constantly, which is bad and stupid. These hopefully shouldn't be, but we're gonna make sure on that. Where's the mover script? I can get rid of all this stuff now, honestly. It's all just stupid. So we have update and then update filters. This is the one that's kind of slow. Yeah, so it's just complicated in here, you know. I can definitely make this run faster, I think. Well, luckily we don't have too many for loops or anything. So this is first going to check, is the outer instance valid? If it is not, then we're going to check again here. Right. So that's good. Manual filters. So this is saying if it has slot filters, or if they're less than 0, and if can insert is greater than 0. If no insert, so that's saying do not insert anything. Only things the manual filters can pass. So that's just saying it has a filter assigned, and so it'll only do that. And then this is saying just no filter. So that's not actually that slow. I think it's just this, the meat of the filter stuff is what's making it slow. So this is already, it's really difficult to optimize this, the actual code in here. Right, it's complicated. So instead of trying to optimize the actual code, maybe what we'll do is just make it run less. Right. Let's go to a map with more movers. This one's fine and all, but there's not really that many here. So now that we're loaded into this save, you can see there's probably a bit more of a performance overhead. Yeah, update filters is 1.27, which is insane. So I'm gonna check a few things in here. So ready, that stuff's all fine. So in process, we do a couple things. We say if either of these are not valid, we go ahead and start up our physics checks again. All right. Then there's constant pull and constant push. So we have try pull. So this will do a couple things. Basically, this is just going to keep trying to take one item out. So for iron range, obj in inventory, the inventory.size. Yeah, update filters twice in here. Not really ideal. So if it can take, yeah. If it's not null, update the filters. So essentially it's looping through every single slot. It's checking if that item can go into its inventory. Yeah. Well, so I notice I'm duplicating the item, which seems a little odd. Alright, because if we're taking it, then it'll get set to null. It says item is that duplicate. Oh, because I set item.amount to 1. Yeah, that's why. Well, that's fine, I guess. Duplicate isn't that slow, I don't think, for dictionaries, especially not one this tiny. So basically, if you could add the item, check the amount. I mean, that's not especially slow. I think one of the issues, though, is that it's running every frame. And we really only need to run it when it's empty. Or when there's actually an item in there. Right? there's definitely room for improvement. Let's focus on try pull first, and then we'll get to try push, and then the other stuff. Okay. So try pull. So it's every frame right now. How can we make it run less often? So this is only for storage, it says, not logistics. So it's for stuff like chests, right? So that kind of makes things a little more interesting. Because chests don't really change a whole lot. You can probably optimize this quite a bit. Got way too much coal in here, man. I just need to, like, think here. Let's see. Hey, where's my stone? I think it's all been converted into brick. That's fine. Just these big chests. Alright. So let's say, for example, we're moving from one chest to another chest. Even while we're doing the transfer in between, it's still calling try pull every frame, right? Which just isn't really necessary. We only need to do it once as soon as it can pull something, right? And I think that's one of the ways we can really make this better. So this is basically checking the can take filters. So if it has can take filters, otherwise we just say if it's not null. So we do actually update filters here, which is probably part of the slowness factor. Yeah. So why do we need to update filters? I guess we need to update it so that we know we can pull out. Right? I think I need a more controlled environment here. Let's go to our collector test save. I'm just gonna print out when these functions are actually being called and stuff like that. Just so I can control this a little bit easier. Let's just break all this stuff. Okay, so let's go to update filters. I want to see how often this is being ran. And I want to make sure it's not just being ran like constantly for no reason. Okay, so it's not running. So this should be once. Whoa, see, that is running a lot. So is it in the try push function doing that? No. So I think it must be in try pull. I'm just gonna comment those out and then see if that's still every frame. Oops. So it looks like with that it only gets called once, which is pretty good, right? As long as we don't have this thing called every single frame, it's probably will be okay. So that, I don't know why it's, yeah, so enormously slow. We just need to, the try pull doesn't need to happen so often, you know? I think we just need to change the condition of when it changes. So basically we'll say only call try pull when our inventory is completely empty. And that'll be a nice little improvement. Yeah, so that's already way better. Because now it only does it immediately before it pulls instead of doing it a billion zillion times every frame. So honestly, that'll probably already be a big performance improvement. But let's go take a look. This is collector test, right? Yeah. So we're running like low 60s, I think, on this save. Let's check on what we're at now. Also, I know that the actual function was at like a millisecond. Yeah, we were at 1.27, so let's see how that is now. I'm just curious to see if this has actually improved things. I just want to make sure. Doesn't seem like it's doing anything. What is it doing? Did it like lose connection? Or is it because this has printed too many things or something? Oh yeah. It's weird how that's all linked together. Okay, so let's take a look now. Seems like it's worse. But there's a lot of times where it drops, right? Which is what we want to see. Obviously, when it runs at a bunch, it's still not super perfect. So how much are we running this function? You can see we're running it thousands of times. But at least we've definitely improved it, you know? I mean, we're cutting out unnecessary calls to it, which is exactly what we need to keep doing. Even if the calls aren't super slow, I mean, it's still a good idea. So another thing that I could do is, I know I call this twice. Whenever we put an item in. Right, and that's just not a good idea. It also can cause issues sometimes too. So I'm going to draw this out just for my own sake. We don't really need to call it again when we're inserting the item, right? Because here's what we have. We have our item. We have our mover. And then we have like a furnace or something, right? Minecraft furnace. So what's happening now is we call this when we pull it in, and then we call it again when we're pushing in. But I don't think we need to do it twice, because in 99% of the cases, you just need to check the beginning and then just push it. We don't need to actually keep checking this filter again. Right? So I think what I can do in here is change that behavior. So in here, when we actually try to push it in, this is all the filter stuff. On like begin push or wherever that is. Let's try pull. I know it's in here somewhere. Oh, is that what it is? Add item. So I do update filters there. Seems odd. Maybe why it's running twice. Because I do add item here and try pull. And add item in and of itself will do update filters. Yeah. Which is just stupid. So what is update filters returning? I was just saying if that thing is valid. Well, we can find a better way of doing that. So I'm trying to think of all cases of this right now. Let's see here. So we're adding an item. This is basically add item runs from something else, like a conveyor, and not from the mover itself. At least that's what it does usually, right? So we don't really need to update filters here. Let's go take a quick look at the conveyor code, and I just want to see what it does here. I'm sure it does add item. Yeah, it just tries to push it and does add item. I can get rid of all this stuff now. So this is basically saying, is it a mover? Then yeah, that's fine. So I can change this code up a little bit. So I'm going to say I dot update filters. Then we're going to say if I dot add item. Yeah, delete the item and set found it true. So that is pretty much all we need to do there. Because otherwise, if we're pushing it, let's see. So now instead of this, I'm just going to run this simple little check, which is just going to ask, is our out inventory valid? Right. And that should help a little bit. Okay. So I'll call that function from there. Update filters. Just making sure everything's good here. Otherwise, if it's a mover, yeah, push into the mover. Okay. Let's see what this does. Hopefully that eliminates that second update filters check. So let's start running the profiler. Oh, no, we don't need to do that. We just need to watch this. Yeah, so it's only running once now, which is just way better. And then it's also just make sure that this works normal. Let's check for a specific case, like, here, let's do this. Like, say we're moving something into a furnace. Do I have any stone? I have some. It'll do. So this shouldn't put iron in. So it's like it tries to, for some reason. Like, somehow this isn't really working. I do i.update filters. And then if add item. Maybe because I need to do break there. Yeah. I'm gonna have to figure this out. Because we don't want a case like this where we have a conveyor go down and we're just trying to pull in fuel or something, because it's gonna clog everything. Right? Just go out and mine some stone. Got a freaking pickaxe, let's go. Okay, so here, let's put down a chest, and let's just like throw some items in that should not go in, you know, copper ingots. And they don't go in there. That's what's really weird about this. So it looks like they only go in when the conveyor is directly facing it, because it is the cache. That's what it is. I'm just gonna say I is not mover. Would probably fix it, but let's check. Yeah. Well, that's fine. I don't think that should be too much of an overhead in the conveyor script, so we'll run with that and see how that goes. How does the dungeon scene get created in the right position? I can go ahead and show you everything about the dungeons. So, for the dungeon position stuff, that's all going to be inside the dungeon script. When I do generate dungeons, so that's called from the multiplayer script here. Multiplayer setup script. And there's a function called create dungeon. So this has a couple different things. It has the region, location, and the level. So let's say you spawn in a dungeon, level 0 and region, whatnot. I just generate the level. So add child. So it does generate level, and then this is where I do some other things. So if it's just level 0, I just generate it. But if it's level 1, then I add 20,000 to the Y position. So essentially what this will do is it'll do this. It'll say, call the function from home world. It'll go 20,000 over to the left, and that's where level 0 will be. And then 20,000 below that, that's where level 2 is. So eventually we'll just start, like, it'll just be a grid of all this stuff, right? So does that kind of clear up what you're wondering? Actually, here. Inside of the spaceship menu is where it actually has that value, right? So in here with the planets, in each of these planets, they have a teleport location. Which is how I actually know where to teleport and stuff to. So Viridian is 0. This one is minus 10,000. And then the space hub is plus 10,000. So you can easily just copy one of these buttons and use the same teleport stuff that's set up. I'm definitely going to make this whole thing easier when I add in more dungeons, but yeah. But does that clear things up? I'm happy to go over more stuff if there's still any confusion, so let me know. Yeah, the meat is minus 10,000, which actually I need to change now because that doesn't work anymore. Because it's going to be in between the other two dungeons. So what I'd probably do for this one is say minus 20,000. And just at 0. That's what I'd probably do. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So yeah. And you can see where that is. So yeah, if you're gonna override scripts, which is totally fine. I mean, that's why I have the functionality there, right? Then yeah, you can change that and add your own planet and stuff. Of course, it might be incompatible with other dungeon mods, but it won't be for too long. Okay. So if I throw something in here that's good, like stone, yeah, it'll pull it in. But then if I do like iron or something. Okay, so that has fixed the double filter issue, which is good. Very, very good. Now, of course, there's still a bunch of that function being called all the time, but it means that it only calls it once when it's pulling in an item. So we've significantly reduced the quantity of these being called. You can already see, I mean, we've gone from thousands every frame to tens, which is really good. So I bet if I run this, we'll see a little bit of a performance improvement. So clear this output. It like gets backed up and then just like does a million of them. So mover update filters. It's more stable. What are these segments here? What is that? Player process? Oh. I don't know why that spikes up sometimes really bad. At 754 specifically. Oh, that's where the process is. Why does the create dungeon function not use the level parameter? So you're saying in multiplayer setup. Right in here. So it doesn't use it yet because I just didn't hard code it in. I have it set so create dungeon it just generates both of the levels. I do need to change this probably to an array of which levels I actually want to generate, right? For now, you can just change that script if you want or do something with that. If you put in level, it means that it's always going to be the first level. So you need to have more logic set up to check if the next level actually even exists. So, yeah. So this is definitely playable on this map. Movers are slowly getting there. This is only filtering the bad stuff, right? Just making sure. Yeah. Should not filter wood when that comes in. So much stone, dude. What the heck? Yeah, it's only grabbing the right thing, so that's good. Now, how else can we optimize movers? So let's look at where else we're calling that function, right? See if we can minimize it even more. Seems like definitely somewhere there's a spot where we're calling it every frame. I don't know where though. Oh, excuse me. So if I don't modify the generate dungeon script, my dungeon needs 2 levels. Basically, yes. Unfortunately. Yeah, it wasn't really meant to be super moddable right now, which is why it's dumb. So yeah, I'll definitely change that for sure, obviously, when we get to the other dungeon regions and stuff, because not every dungeon's going to have exactly 2 levels. Some might have 3, some might have 1, so I'm going to need to make that flexible. And I think the easiest way to do that is just to change level to an array, so I can pass in, like, I want to spawn 1, 2, and 3 because that dungeon has that number of levels. Or we even do like a more advanced thing where it's like last level, and so it's like you just enter in 3, like number of levels is 3, and then it'll generate 3 levels. That would work pretty well, I think. So yeah, we'll figure that out when we get to more dungeon stuff, which should be pretty soon. I'm not going to be waiting that long. Okay, how else can we optimize this? I mean, we're on the right track. The less we use this function, the better it's going to run. Right? It's just common sense. Yeah, conveyor tunnel is really not that bad for performance. To be fair, I don't have very many of them in the world, but I have enough, you know, over here and stuff. It saves a lot of conveyors, actually. Yeah, you can see on some of these frames, like mover, update filters, it's a little better than it was. You just have to figure out where else it's coming from. You know, like right now, as I see it, the factory's stalled. Nothing's happening, and so it really shouldn't be printing out anymore, but it is. So we have to figure out where and why. Because there might be a good reason for it. Oh, I can consolidate? Oh my god. I didn't know I could do that. What the heck? That's freaking awesome. I didn't know you could do that. This fixes my problems with lag. Oh man. Okay. So you can see it running here. It is quite a lot, but it looks like it's not really that many necessarily. You know, when we think about how many movers we actually have in the world. So I'm just gonna look at all the spots where we do update filters. Right, and we're gonna keep just commenting them out until we find the culprit. So let's comment both of these out. So that made no change. So I believe tri-pol is pretty optimized now. Where else do we have it? Maybe in the process event we have it. It almost looks like it's not being called from the mover, right? Which would be interesting if that's the case. It might be... maybe it's being called from the conveyor. Right here. So if I do that, let's see. No, where is this being called from, I wonder? Hey, Deblato, what's up? How's it going? I am currently, optimizing. Just trying to figure some stuff out here. I'm optimizing, movers to make them run better, because, you know, movers aren't the fastest thing ever, I'll be honest. Because they have to update filters and do a lot of logic, so... it's, trying to see if I can squeeze more performance out of them. See, it's not that. It's not these calls. It's doing it somewhere. I just need to keep going down the list until I can find where that is. It's definitely not there. You'd think it's from here, but let's see. But it's not either. So it's tricky. I gotta figure out where this is being called from. Let's just search the whole project for update filters. Find every time that we call it. So we do call it from splitters, which is interesting. It could be from splitters. Like, if we go here and we stop these from being called, maybe that's our issue. Let's see. Let's clear it out. Make sure it's saved. It doesn't seem to be. So where is this being called from? Now it's confusing. So in mover, we have those. In display. That's not anything. Well, let me just comment out all of them and make sure I'm not crazy right now. So that should be every single update filters. This one. And if it's still running after that, then that means we're gonna have to restart the game to actually really check this stuff. And it looks like we may have to. Oh, it stopped. I guess I just didn't clear it out. Okay, so let's slowly bring these back in. Just checking it shortly. Want to see what you're doing. Pretty tired. It's probably going to bed early. Yeah, no, that's all good. I'm just, optimizing movers. I fixed the underground conveyors today, and those are going good now. So, there's no more gaps and stuff between them, which is something that kept happening. This is all filled up, but yeah. Hey, Zimbers, what's up? Saw the title of the stream, got excited anyways. What are we doing today? I am working on, as I said, optimizing movers. Yeah, just kind of digging deep into the code and trying to find any reason for lag. So, okay, this should not have any performance overhead. Let me make sure. So otherwise it'll be stupid if it does. Yeah, no, we're good. So I'm going to slowly start to re-comment these in and see if we can find the one that's running constantly. It might be this one. Oh, very interesting. It's probably that one. So yeah, it's this is the Spooky Resources texture pack, which you can download and install now. But yeah, it's just a little Halloween texture pack. I might turn it off at some point so that I can, I don't know, focus more. Okay, so let's uncomment that one. Shoot, that does. So that's also running, which isn't right. So this function is not as optimized as I thought. Well, let's go move it back in the spots where it was fine then. Like in the conveyors, I think it was okay. Whoa, 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 whoa. Maybe not. That's a lot of messages here. I guess it's just all of them. Now we're gonna have to optimize. Well, let's get started on that then. So conveyors are calling them every single frame. I don't know which ones it's calling it at. It's probably... I don't know which one's in here. Just trying to think what the scenario is of this. So it's a conveyor that's constantly trying to push. But it should only do this like once, right? See, this is an enormous number of calls. Is it possible to replace the mod API script with a script that allows replacing global.gd? I'm not entirely sure. It may be. If it is, I can add another check inside of that replace resource thing to make sure that it also doesn't do GD. Now the thing is though is that they're auto loads, right? So I don't know if they're actually ever replaceable if it's an auto load. It might be okay. So I don't know. That's definitely something to take a look at. You're welcome to try and see if you can do it. Yeah, I don't know. Do I make the underground conveyors just have invisible no collision conveyors? Well, underground conveyors are working really well. So I think I'll probably leave them how they are. But yeah, I mean, it's almost simulating that basically in a way. Let's take some items out. I just want to make sure like this is all good in a practical use case. Sometimes they get held up here. It's probably not anything. It's probably just the... It's a little weird, isn't it? It's like they just stop for a minute. I wonder why that is. It's again with the output over there, isn't it? There's a very small gap. Oh yeah, the filters are broken. And items don't show. Plus they don't connect to the normal conveyors. Well then, I don't really need to go through the trouble of that. I've already got it working without that, so... I might just have to replace these. I don't know if that's the case. It's definitely not. That's weird. Well, I guess our underground conveyor troubles are not over. Okay, but anyways, let's see. So conveyors, I don't think they should do try push constantly, right? Maybe they do. But no, it sets it back to false, and then so let's see where try push happens. So try push will run in here. And we'll do all that stuff. And then stop. So really it's begin push. Wherever that happens. So it's a tween. It shouldn't be running that much. You know, that doesn't seem right to me. How is it running thousands of times every frame? There's not that many conveyors and movers. And it should only happen when one frees up, so it's definitely strange. Wish I had the comments in dungeon.gd. I can go through it and explain it. Let's do that. So dungeon.gd is where I actually generate the dungeons. It is a little complicated. It's probably one of the more complicated scripts in the game, but we will go through it together. So, let's start at the top. There's a bunch of variables here. So there's two things here. This is for minimap stuff. There's rooms and dungeon data. Don't really worry about that. These are also hard-coded, so that kind of sucks. But that'll change. So there's a bunch of different things here. You can read all these comments. You're welcome to take screenshots of this stuff and just pull it up, right? But yeah, there's just a bunch of different arrays and stuff here. Down here is special rooms, so there's a 1 divided by 4 chance here for special rooms. And then you've got the different rooms that can actually spawn. So for regular rooms, it's all these ones, and then for special rooms, it's these ones. You can modify that if you want to add new rooms. Now, generate level. this is essentially where we actually do the generation stuff. As long as we are the server, set the new regions that we call in from here. So if it's level 0, just, you know, print level 0. If it's level 1, add to the position. So while true here is basically saying we're going to continually try and generate a dungeon until we find one that's valid, which is where we return here, right? So to do that, we basically, at the beginning, we reset all our data from the last run that happened for generating, right? And then we run generate. So generate, what that'll do basically is it doesn't actually create the rooms, but it kind of just goes through and makes sure that it finds a valid configuration before it generates any rooms. So it runs through neighbors. Then while it has, yeah, it like picks a random neighbor to build a room at. So this is sort of the meat of the actual generation. So it picks a random neighbor room to build at. And that's basically, by build at, I mean like the next room to make another room there. And then it removes that from the list. As long as a room isn't already there and we haven't hit the like required or the number of rooms and connection count is less than 3. So basically any given room can have a maximum of 2 connections, right? And the reason I do that is so that rooms are too branchy and grid-like. They're more snaky. So you could change that to like less than 4 and stuff, and then every room could have a maximum of 3 neighbors, which would be a lot. So if position is, well, technically that's 3 because the starting one doesn't count. So if it's 0 or that, which is just a chance thing, then it's basically saying it has a chance to fail generating that room. So if it fails, it just continues, and this is really complicated stuff. It's, but yeah, you shouldn't have to worry about this script too much. And then it just pushes it back, adds the connection, just subtracts the remaining rooms, and then it does generate on the next one. So basically, this is a recursive function, because it'll call this and then it'll do it again on its neighbor, and so it keeps doing that and branching out. Anyways, once it's found a valid configuration here, right, this is just checking everything, like making sure the size is good and there's the required rooms. Then we're gonna loop through and actually generate the rooms. The while true is wicked. Yeah. But I call return here, so it's fine. Oh man. So then we call it down here. So as long as it's been a valid room, then we're gonna loop through every end. And this is just some more checking of things. This is saying, this is getting the position of the required rooms. So this is going to be spawning in stuff like the boss and exit room, I believe. Or checking that it can do that, right? And then it pushes it back. So as long as we're all good and it's been able to add the required rooms, which is the boss and exit, then we found a valid layout. Most of the time this succeeds in 1 or 2 times. Sometimes it can take a couple tries, because since it's pure randomness, sometimes it fails. And that's why we have the while true. So once we have it, we call build, and this is where it actually adds in the rooms into the world. So this is adding in like the filler rooms, which is just normal rooms and special rooms. So aka not boss rooms and stuff. So it just runs through every room. It generates the doors for its neighbors there. Yeah, so the required rooms always try to spawn at the end. Well, actually, they always do. So basically what happens is we have like a room like this. So it'll generate out a dungeon, right? Let's just generate a stupid little dungeon here. Right. So let's say that's the dungeon that was generated. So the places it'll check to put an exit or a boss room is going to be these rooms. They're end rooms. Basically, it's at a spot where the dungeon has stopped generating. Because eventually what happens, how it works, is like our recursive call, since it's a chance thing, eventually there's a chance that it doesn't generate a room, or we hit the room cap. And that's where these end rooms get created. So what the algorithm tries to do is it keeps track of these end rooms where the function has stopped, and then it tries and it checks the neighboring positions for spots it can put the required rooms. Right. So it just does that. So all of these X's are valid locations for the boss rooms, and exit rooms. So you might notice, like, sometimes there's a room where it can only have, like, one neighbor or something, right? So maybe we have a room like this. Here's an example. And then it's like this is how they connect. Right? And so the problem with this one is, well, you can only add a room here, and so there's no room for the exit dungeon. So what it does is it just does the boss room here, and then it picks another spot, like over here, for the exit room. So that's why sometimes they're not always next to each other. Usually they're right next to each other, but sometimes they're like on opposite sides of the whole dungeon, you know? So that's why. But yeah, that's the whole kind of algorithm. It's definitely difficult to wrap your head around and stuff, obviously, because it's, you know, it's complicated. Really what it's based off of, just if you want to kind of conceptually understand it. It really closely follows the Binding of Isaac dungeon generation. I think this is the article I read to create it. So really read this. This is kind of the algorithm. So there's special rooms, right? There's normal rooms. I do this exact kind of thing. So. But yeah, there's like the floor plan. But it's honestly the same algorithm as a lot of other games. 2D Zelda games and stuff like that, right? So it's the same. It's all the same thing. So this is the thing here, right? It's already occupied, give up. If it has more than one filled neighbor, give up. If we already have enough rooms, give up. And then random 50% chance to give up. So yeah. This is a very helpful article for understanding it a little bit more. Remember this logic going to ruin the algorithm? Yeah, do it up. As an Isaac player, I know exactly how the algorithm works just to win the game. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's basically the same as that algorithm, so. I think in Rebirth, they've changed it slightly from the old one. I kind of have it based off of the simple one, but yeah. Then in here, there's just a couple other things which you don't really have to worry about. But it's like checking that, you know, last boss room is the next level room. That's for, setting the door that shows up if it's level 1. And yeah, all this stuff. Looping through the doors and adding doors. Actually adding the rooms is like loading in the scenes and stuff. For the boss rooms and the exits. And all that stuff. And there's an optimization that I could make here by looping through connections and not every single room. So I'll do that one day. This to-do has been here for a long time. But yeah. That's my crash course. Alright. Clearly we're still having underground issues, which really sucks, because I thought I fixed it. I don't know why we're having underground issues, if I'm being honest. There must be a reason. But let's focus on getting these movers optimized. We gotta do one thing at a time. So this is just grabbing in a bunch of coal. So that's not adding anything because it's a filter set, right? Okay. So somehow it's calling like millions of these from conveyors. Now, it doesn't really make sense to me, because it shouldn't be doing this constantly. I think I need to figure out this behavior in Big Flat, or collector test, actually. Okay, let's see if we can figure out what's happening. So let's clear out our output. Sometimes I've got to ungroup it. It's kind of annoying how that works, but whatever. So where on earth are these conveyors constantly calling try push? Is it here? It is. So in cases where... So conveyors constantly call try push, which is probably not great for performance. Okay. Is there a way to make rooms only appear in the second dungeon and not in the first one? And the same thing with levels. Yeah. So if we take a look at the dungeon script, it would be actually pretty easy to change that. So all you would have to do here is just kind of load these in depending on the region. So down here in generate level, all you would say is if new dungeon region is, you know, global.dungeon2 instead, then you can say, well, actually use this list instead, right? It's like, say, set special rooms is now going to be the other rooms, these rooms, right? So that's one super easy way of doing that. And you can do the exact same thing for the level also. So instead of just checking the region, you could say, okay, well, let's also check the level. If new dungeon level is 1, right? Then you can change it to something else also. So that's how I would do it. That's probably going to be the easiest way to do it. Obviously, I'll have a better system for this, where it's all just in a big data entry, and it'll automatically do it for people. But yeah, if you want to do it manually, that's how I'd do it. Because yeah, all the rooms will keep track of what they are, right? And so you're going to want to like branch off from this script. It's the dungeon room script. Here, if I go to a dungeon room real quick. So dungeon room will always keep track of dungeon region and dungeon level. So these rooms will always know what they are, right? So like it'll know to load the proper tile set and all that stuff, right? So you may also have to change the script for this also, because I haven't added in code for that dynamically. So yeah, it's a couple things you're gonna have to change. But yeah, you could do your own custom dungeon room script if you want, and override ready and stuff, or set style, and do your own stuff. So that would work too. Why do I have resource preloader in here? Let's get rid of that. Yes, delete. Spend a night learning how the room script works. Yeah. Yeah, it's not too bad. Nothing compared to the whole dungeon generation script. Works for the most part, though. I mean, I have it set up pretty flexible because you can generate enemies and decorations independently whenever you want. Stuff like that. The mental map, good. And this also handles the doors opening and closing and stuff down here. So yeah. I really should make this like a for loop. You know, this is kind of stupid. But it's fine. Yeah, if up, do stuff. If down, do stuff. If... Yeah, it's dumb. There's a lot of optimization to be had. Okay. Well, I totally understand why this does it every frame. I mean, it's no surprise. But it definitely makes it laggy. Because there's a lot of conveyors that are just sitting there. Continually running update check. Or update filters. Yeah, not good for performance. So I have to figure out a way to optimize that. How could I do that? Now, there's one way. It's not my favorite way, because it's kind of dumb. Well, it's not dumb. It's actually smart, but it's dumb to add. That's what my point is. If you've already calculated your filters on a mover, okay? You don't need to calculate them again until an inventory has changed. There's a lot of cases where we have a building like a burner, and it just kind of sits there, the item just sits there and stays the same for a long time. And it never really changes very much. The thing that sucks is this conveyor is constantly running update filters on the mover over and over and over and over and over every single frame, trying to like update the filters and make sure that it can push an item in, but it's very inefficient. So what I could do instead is add a signal to inventory components and just label it like inventory changed. And so whenever that signal has been emitted, then the mover would update its own filter. So we don't have the filters updating from other locations, because it's kind of stupid that way. Ay. It's probably what I'm gonna have to do. The reason why I'm so scared of that is because there's a lot of times where I change inventory stuff without emitting any signal. And it's gonna cause a lot of issues. Now, I could probably set or add another function that's like, you know, set item at position or whatever, so that we can like change these things and also emit the signal. So yeah. But man, it gets a little scary. I don't know. So yeah, that'll go in. It would be really good for performance, wouldn't it? Well, let's check everywhere where I directly modify. It's going to be inventory data. It's going to be awful. It's going to be like 100. Oh my god, there's 417 instances. So this is the thing, right? This is why it's scary. Because I'd have to replace all of these, you know. Yeah. Oh, there's quite a few. Quite a few. And I'd also have to... I mean, some of these actually are old buildings. Like, refiner.gd I don't actually need anymore. I don't use it. So let's actually just delete that. Like, let's clear up the old buildings that we don't use anymore. It's the same with the foundry and the crafter. So this is actually way more than it actually is, right? So remove the crafter, we got the foundry to remove. Let's get rid of that. Okay. Hey, Ezra, what's up? Could you make a function inventory data? You just need to find and replace the brackets to parentheses. Well, I'd have to change like what gets passed in and stuff, right? Because it's a lot of these cases where it's like plus equals item dot amount and stuff. So I can't just replace that with a parenthesis because it wouldn't really work. Also, I'd get warnings that it's overriding a thing. So, yeah, unfortunately, I don't think that would work. It'd be nice if it did. So I'm going to have to go through these and, you know, do it manually. I mean, it's not the worst thing in a lot of these, you know? I know it seems insane and stupid, but I've done worse, trust. I probably just knocked off like 100 references, so I mean, that's good. I'm scared about the inventory display stuff. That's where it's like scary. But yeah. So let's research again for this. It should be a little better. 360, you know? This is why I'm like kind of... I don't know if it's worth it, you know? There's got to be another way to do this. Before we do the nuclear option, let's think. Let's think up some ideas here. So the case, just so we're all on the same page, what we're preventing is this. When you have a conveyor trying to move an item, what happens is it calls this mover over and over. So we'll draw it out. Right, so we have our conveyor, we have our mover. So what it's doing is calling the update filters function, right? And it's doing that every frame. Well, really, it's like calling that, like that. So the reason it does that is because we have to check for when items change. So we have a furnace here. I think I already drew this out somewhere. Yeah, right there. So we have a furnace here. The thing is that if the internal component of the furnace changes, so we go from 10 fuel to 9, right? It means that we have to re-update our filters. We need a locking system. If filter is invalid, lock input until items clear. It's kind of essentially like that, yeah. I just need to make it so this doesn't happen every single frame. That's the thing. Because there's a lot of buildings where we would see a huge improvement. So for example, one of those buildings are burners. I don't remember what they look like, something like that. So the thing with burners is that typically the fuel slot, it'll just sit at like 5 for a long time. So you don't need to update your filter at any point during that wait. Right? But the issue is that it's still doing it 240 times every frame while we're waiting for that filter. And obviously that's yeah. That's bad. One second. Oh, we're good. Apparently my watch band was found outside. So yeah, I want to change that from 240 to like 0. So that we only wait until you actually have to update the inventory. Or you actually have to update the filters, I mean. Yeah, this would have benefited you more to a polar system. I don't know if it would. It would just shift who has to do the updating. So it would essentially just shift it from the conveyor trying to do that to the mover doing that. I need to think of a fundamentally different way to change when this update happens. Now I could have it in there, but I still have to know what's going on in the inventory, right? Because if I only do this once, I have no idea what's going on in here, right? Say we're on, like, if this is the timeline, this is frame 1, and then frame 10 is only updated again. So we update our filters, we know what's in there. Let's say there's 5 wood, right? So we're good, but then let's say here, or let's say there's 15. So it's like, okay, there's lots of wood in there. We don't need to put any items in. Now let's say halfway something consumed it really fast or something. Now we're at 0 wood, right? At this moment, and that's at frame 5. So there's a whole bunch of frames here where we really should have been adding items in, but we just didn't know that we were supposed to. So there has to be a way that this inventory sends a signal back to our mover, letting it know that its inventory has changed, probably. Furnace a pull if it can, yeah. Which is basically what it's doing in a way when it sends that signal, is it's going to say, I am saying my inventory has changed, make sure that I need more items, or I don't, right? Yeah, back propagation, yeah. Also, Sheik, you said, is there a way to ignore an error? I think there might be. It might be something that you can do in the editor. What's the error that you're getting? So yeah, I think I've just answered my own thing, which is that I'm probably going to need to, I'm probably going to need to have a signal in the inventory of this object that sends the signal back to the mover. So I don't know if there's any other way I can do that, really. I mean, it'd be nice to have that signal anyways. It would help with a lot of other... class dungeon hides a global script class. What global script class is that it's hiding? Because I don't know what that would be. I took out that stuff I put in here, right? Okay. So it's... Dungeon is hiding... Dungeon? Like that script? It's a global script class. I don't know what that error even is. I'm gonna have to look that up. Like... Yeah, that's probably what it is. It's probably because there's 2 of them. Yeah, it just causes a class name conflict. Okay, so I'm presume it's because you have 2 of them. It's probably what it is. Okay, well, I don't think I have any other options with this now. I think I have to have a signal in every single inventory that checks for when an item has changed. I figured it would come someday. So I could either have a process event in here checking, which is stupid, or I could just tie it into our functions. So we have a function which is add item, and that'll just try and do it wherever it can. Our other option, or our other function that we're going to need is function set item. Now I'm just going to make sure I don't already have this or something. Let's take another gander at all the functions we have in here. Check slot filter, that's fine. Get item. So that gets an item. Also removes it on successful find. So there's going to be cases in here where we have to emit that inventory change signal again. Find item doesn't do anything. Got check item. Remove amount. So this is like add item, but the inverse. It's just removing whatever it can. So we'll have to call it there. Get count. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So we just need a set, like, set item. So this will have a few things. We're going to have an index, the item, and amount, I think, will be optional, right? So if it's -1, it just won't do anything. Is there a way to replace the script dungeon to my dungeon script? And not break the dungeon calling? So, let's see. You can just delete the other dungeon script, right? And just fully replace it, and that'll be fine. Because if you're exporting this as a mod, you can just override the dungeon script, and it'll still treat it the same way. Like, it'll still reference it the same way, even if it's a different script. So that's probably what you'll have to do. Set item. This will be mostly for cases where we know what we're changing and what we're setting, right? So we're just going to say inventory data at index is equal to item. That's actually really easy. Well, if I'm setting the amount beforehand, I don't really need to do that. Right. That's pretty much it. Okay. Now let's attach a signal, which is signal. I didn't already have that in here, do I? Changed. Then we're just gonna emit it all here. It's like set item, inventory, change dot emit, and we're just gonna do it for all those cases. So anywhere we return. So if it returns true, that means successfully done it. So we're gonna do inventory change emit. Right. Why does that not return? So if it's less than stack size, oh, does it return true anyways? No. Wait, so there's a case where it just won't return true? It won't return anything? That doesn't seem right. So difference is stack size minus the amount. Then we add the amount. Oh, so that's basically saying we couldn't add a whole new stack. Wait, no. Oh, it's saying we couldn't fully add in the item, basically. So it's not going to return true. Okay. I guess I'll omit it there. Then here we return true. And there we return false, I guess. So we say duplicate it, amount is stack size, amount minus equal stack size. So I also omit it there. So there's a lot of cases where I'm gonna have to omit this stuff. It's actually not that many though, if you think about it. You know, because a lot of these don't actually change anything. Get item does. So in here where we set it to null, we're gonna say that. Well, actually we minus the amount, so we're gonna say it changed anyways. To signal there. And I think that's it for actually inside of here, so that's good. Now is the changing of all of these scripts. Now, to be fair, a lot of this is reading the inventory slots, not necessarily changing them. So we won't have to change literally every single one of these. But it'll take a minute. So for this case, we're just decreasing the amount until it becomes null. It's probably an easier way to do that. So I think I just have the remove amount function, right? So all I say in here is like, I loop through each one. It's not null. But I don't know what the item ID is. So we'll do this. We'll just say function remove amount index moves index amount. And then this will have index and amount. So as long as it's not null, we're gonna say inventory data I dot, it's not 0, dot amount is minus equal to amount. Then I'm also gonna say here, right, if inventory data I dot amount is less than or equal to 0, then inventory data I is equal to null. Oops. Let's just change that to I. Okay, so that should help with stuff like the shredder, where we don't really care what the item is, but we just want to decrease its amount. So this actually makes it very simple. All we literally say here is just inventory component dot amount. Actually, I don't have to say inventory component. I'm going to say building inventory dot at 0. And we're going to remove 1. Let me make sure. Remove index amount. Yeah. Let's say subtract index amount. Now, building inventory is not typed. So let's add that type. And that'll just help because then in these cases I can actually see the functions and stuff. Yep. So now I should be able to go like building inventory dot and then should show the things. It's not doing that, but it's fine. So now I can get rid of this stuff, which is nice. Cool. So it's just going to be a whole lot of this. Going through and replacing all these with our custom functions. And there's cases here where like I don't have to change computer. That's not an issue. It's only the times where we actually change it. So like in the researcher, we do that. So we do the same thing here. We're just going to say building inventory dot subtract index amount 0, and we're subtracting 1. Okay. Yeah, it's gonna be a lot of this to do. Might as well change all this inventory component stuff to building inventory because it's faster. Only by a little bit, but it is faster. Okay. Set it all here. Can't take and all that business. All right. So we're done with the researcher. Looks like I'm running out of time. Let's clear out all this stuff. This is starting to lag my editor, which is really annoying. Just for now, I'm going to disable this printing because it's getting annoying. Okay, please stop. Please stop. Okay. Yeah, this is just going to be a matter of going through and doing this on everything. So it's going to take a while. Yeah, I do have that meeting I was talking about earlier in the stream, so I do actually need to leave very soon, unfortunately. Wish I could stay longer, but... So this is where we do our fuel amount, fuel rates, fuel info. Yeah. So this, we're just going to say building inventory dot... Oh, now it works. So I guess sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. Well, it's probably just because, yeah, it's okay. Boom. Done with the burner. It's not too bad to go through this. The hardest thing is going to be the inventory displays because it's there's just a lot going on in there, right? So it's not going to be easy. But this will be better. It just lets me control this stuff better, you know, if it's all using one unified function. Like this. What is all that? Okay, that's like a whole thing. That's the player script, I believe. I want to do the easier buildings right now. Then I guess I'll do the same here. So we'll do building inventory dot set item. So slot index in an item. I hope all this works. Wouldn't that be bad if it didn't? Alright. Well, unfortunately, I have to end up stream. I know it's way earlier today than usual, but I have the meeting planned. So, don't worry. It's still Starground work in a way. We're going to plan out what we want to do for the next big automation update, so that's going to be good to get that ball rolling. Get the rain. Let's raid Finn, because he was in there. I don't think Finn is actually there. He's probably in the bathroom or something. Okay. He's at a different team, actually. What team is this? Oh, it's Practical NPC's team. Interesting. Oh, Sedelix is part of that team, too. What is this? Twitch Creator Clubs. It's like an official thing. There's a lot of people on this team. I don't know what that's all about. Okay, anyways, let's start the raid. I'll wait a second for Finn to get back, hopefully. If he's there. There he is. Okay, let's go raid him. All right. Well, thanks everybody for coming to the stream today. I appreciate it. Buy Starground if you want. Join the Discord if you want. Yeah, lots of optimizations coming soon, which will be very good. It's something I kind of absolutely have to do because If we're adding a whole new automation zone, I can't have people lagging out twice as bad. So, yeah. Alrighty. Alright, Finn. What else? What else was I gonna say? I was gonna say something. I don't know. Well, we're gonna go raid Finn. I'm gonna start the raid. Yeah. Thank you everybody for coming. Sorry for the shorter stream today, but it was necessary. I will be, tomorrow's Sunday. I'll be live tomorrow. So yeah, stay tuned. Alright. Starting the raid now. Goodbye, everybody. Thank you. I appreciate it. See you. See you soon. Bye. Bye-bye. Also, oh yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Oh, Sheik, if you need any help with dungeon stuff, just hit me up on Discord. I'll be here, and I'm happy to answer any questions you have about stuff. So yeah. Okay. Bye.